Hello, folks. Hello there, and welcome back to our channel, The Second Look. Again, here is me with my best friend Norbert on the other side.
Hi, folks. Hello again.
And this week, again, we have brought you some composition work. But before we get into detail, I want to show you something, a very quick tip for our viewers and friends. They are also using Luminar Neo. So Luminar Neo is the choice of tool for working most on our images for Norbert and I. And the last week I had to move my library from one computer to another. So let me share the screen first. Zip. Like this. And please don't mind me looking a little bit to the right since my monitor is on the other side. And if you're familiar with Luminar Neo orders its content in. On one hand, you can add, of course, directories, which are shown here like that. So this is the representation of, in my case, a Windows computer and its directories. And on the upper left, Lumina Neo stores everything that it needs on its own in, so to speak, catalogs. And since version, I don't know, Lumina Neo stores every modification that you do on an image, which is really, really neat. Also, when you change from one computer to another. But this takes space, and it might take, depending on the library and the images that you use, a lot of space. So in my case, the library already grew to, I think it's close to 200 gigabytes. And of course, I think it's 200, let's say it's 200 gigabytes more or less. So it's 190. And this really takes, even if you have a quick and fast external hard disk or wherever you store it to move it to another computer, it takes a very long time, or it can take a very long time to move the whole images and this catalog. So for me, the whole process of moving my images, the way I work, and to move the catalog, the information Lumina Nero stores, what you changed on the images. It took for me overall 6 hours, something like that, to copy it on the SSD and then move it to another copy it there on the other computer. So this really took quite some time. So my suggestion would be also not just split your work up in different directories, but you also have to split up in different catalogs. I think the smaller your catalogs are, the easier you will have a time when you get a new computer and you have to move it from A to B. It will make things much easier for you. So that's a quick tip I wanted to give you firsthand. And now we can move on to going through composition works for this week.
Thank you for these insights, Martin. I really appreciate that. Because I
Yeah,
also
you
had
were
some topics with yeah playing around with Luminar Neo in the past. And what I
okay.
did, or what I've decided already to do is for each shooting I'm creating an own catalog.
Ah, okay. Well, my fault was that I'm usually only um, used to working with directories. And so I have never had a problem with having my directories there. But I only got the problem when I had to move it from A to B
Yeah,
because,
then you're running crazy,
yeah,
as you
and
said.
well, it's not a problem in that sense also, but it takes a really long time. So it really took almost a business day for moving from A to B. And I think if you have smaller catalogs, then it's easier for a person to move it from A to
Absolutely.
B. All right. So then here are some images. that I have brought to you, spooky image first, and I
I'm
got a
super curious
new.
because I haven't seen them before.
Yep.
So,
So a little bit of information up front. I have a new lens. It's a Tamron from 150 to 600 millimeters. I'm using it on my Canon EOS R7, and I had to experiment with this one. And what I am giving here is some. I actually don't know what I'm showing you. Is this the raw images or are these the JPEGs? No, that's actually okay. That's the raw images interpreted by Windows display. I don't know what's the English word for this one because I have think this computer is still switched to German. So that's just the picture viewer for from Microsoft showing actually raw data, which we all know is not possible. So that's the interpretation of it. And I am trying to get familiar with this lens. I went to a local zoo where they have certain kind of birds. The German word for this bird is Waldrapp. I have forgotten to look up the bird up front. What's it in English? I will leave the name in English in the description below. And I have various compositions that I have done in this zoo. So in the zoo, there's a colony of, let's say, 20 birds, something like that. They have quite a large housing there where they can actually roam quite free for, I don't know the space, but they have it. You maybe see it a little bit in the picture. So there's ground where they can walk around with grass and they go through there. And that's actually really my first image where I got this one. So I used my Canon EOS R7 with, I have set it always to birds or animal eye tracking. And that actually worked quite nicely. And but when we get in here deeper, you will see, and I think this is maybe 100%. Uh, it depends. It can the lens itself and the Canon EOS R7, due to its quite good pixel resolution size, needs a lot of light. And I'm still not used to that because my Pentax K70 does not need that much amount of light in contrast to becoming noisy. And so that's one of the things I still have to familiarize myself with this setup with the camera and with the lens. But that's the first image, and I think this one could work quite nicely. So as I said, that's really the raw image, just interpreted by the picture viewer. And so I got this one over here walking on the ground, the one is up front, but focus is definitely back here on this one. And so there's maybe some life in it. I don't
and
know,
that was
Norbert.
the first shooting you did with the new lens. So it was the first
Yes.
approach.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's also one of the very first images in the series. So I did maybe 500 to 600 images with at the trip for the Waldrapp, maybe 300, because I was also in the cage with some vultures, and there's a little hoppo. I think it's in English. In German, it's Wiedehopf is also in this caging in this housing. And so this was one of the first images I really took. And I think that worked quite nicely. I then have other ones where you can see that the noise is much higher. So my question is, should I go through all of the images or do you want to do them one by one?
So maybe we can choose the next one.
Right?
Yeah.
So
So here
the
you can. So for me, this looks a lot more noisy, especially the peak and the head.
yes,
Hmm.
especially here. And for me, even more the background is much more where
Yeah.
you can see a lot of dithering.
So and the light conditions basically should have been okay because you see the sun coming in here and the spot here on the feather where
Ah, yes.
it's
What I maybe have forgotten to mention is that I did not have a tripod, also not a
okay.
monopod, so I had to carry it by myself, and I cranked up ISO. Not really that much. I cranked up ISO only to 2000 to have a little bit more wiggle room with the speed and aperture. And usually, if I do this on my Pentax, I would go to 1600 because I know that above 1600, my Pentax also becomes quite. I have a 400, 120 to 400 from Sigma. That's quite old. And I crank it up to 1600 there. And I have never really problems with this setting. Never ever. It's noisy, but
Eh,
it's not so predominant that you really notice it, at least not in lower zooms and even in higher zooms. You say, yeah, it's noisy, but nothing software can't manage. But this one's really noisy, maybe, especially
Yeah,
here.
so this is something I've basically trying to avoid to go up that high with ISO, but that's my personal approach. Yeah, so I'm maximally going up to let's say 800 ISO, something like that,
Mhm.
and to but on the other
The
side, I have a different camera, so my system is has a very good stabilizer, and even with the 300 millimeter lens, you said it's a 400, so that's also a different story.
Yes.
It's very good to have sharp pictures, but
And
1600 ISO, wow, yeah. So,
no, and as I said, on my Pentax, it's my modus operandi, and I have never problems there. Not really. So, even the B that I left on Facebook last time, that's 400. That's ISO
mhm.
800 and 400 millimeters, ISO 800. And Duo don't have a lot of problems there, but here they really come predominant. And if you do a Google search with Canon EOS R7 and ISO 2000 and noisy, then you find a lot of entries. And it really has to do with it that it seems that the Canon likes to have better overexposure. Whereas on the Pentax, I prefer most of the time underexposure because I like the darker look of the
Mhm.
images. And if they are overexposed on my Pentax, they always seem too much highlight, too light in general. And this modus operandi seems not to work with the Canon. So I maybe switch four to some. So this is 100, and I think even here, since it's already interpreted and not, for example, in Luminar Neo, I think it's even you see it even more predominant the noise in
And it's
Luminar
super
than
interesting
here.
how different systems are working, even with
Yep.
same settings. This is
Hmm.
something that's also, I hope, very interesting and useful for for our viewers
And of
to
course,
get an idea.
yes, and of course, it still matters what you want to do with the image, right?
Yeah,
So I think this is still an interesting image, like it is here.
absolutely, absolutely.
Even if you
And
do
what
some
was the shutter
cropping,
speed you used to?
shutter speed was likely since to try to get rid of motion blur for the long lens. I wanted to get at least 640s. So this is
Mhm.
most likely 800, 1000s,
Okay.
1200 of a second.
Mhm. Okay.
I would have to take a look in Lumina Neo precisely, but in general, that's what I got out of it. It was a very sunny day, as you have seen before in the grass and in the other image, and also here on the tree trunk. So uh, in the lighting from the day itself was not a problem. It was a perfect day to go out and have those images. And also for this one, this as a, in my opinion, as a composition or as an image, it works right nicely. So the bird stretched, and you got a really good look at both of the inside of its wings. But if you go in here again to 100, especially
Yeah,
here, I think you see it even more on the eye. So it's really grainy, and here on its neck and the beak, you really see it, and especially on the background. The background, of course, is rock, some granite or something like that, and yeah, you can really see that it's quite noisy. Autofocus, I think, still works quite nicely. So it was always good on the eye in general. But when I came home and saw the images, I thought, oh, my camera is, what the heck happened? I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
I'm spooked out.
But I like this a lot because the bird spreading his wings and you captured it perfectly fine without having this motion blur.
Hmm.
But yeah, the noise, if you zoom in. But as you said before, it's depending on what you want to do with the picture.
Yeah, or at least also. So it's not totally ruined.
Mhm.
And so this is also, so we
Wow,
will have
this
this.
looks spooky.
Yeah, yeah. So we will have the noise in all of our images. So
Uh,
that's done deal. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those pictures has a better noise view, or is less noise. Maybe slightly, but not really mentionable. But what I really like that they seem to blink quite often and protect their
yeah.
eyes. So, and this really makes them really spooky. And I think even here, if I go to 100, it's even more spookier since
Wow.
see, it's very, very close up, and here it comes even since your focus changes, not the focus, but the what the image should tell you, or the image is trying to tell you, since it's a really close up shot just of the head. Of course, if you would go in to 100, it would become even more noisy on the head.
Yeah.
And also we have a lot of highlight over here, maybe, but that's just the sun, of course. But and okay, I can't show you all of the 500 images, right? So
How
I
far away
want
have you been uh, when
that's
you
a
took
good
this shot?
question. Yeah, so in general, the birds are away. It depends if they land on the ground and then they are quite close to you. They can come up maybe like 3 to 5 meters. So I think the very, very closest distance would be 3 meters.
Okay.
If you go further back, then it's maybe five. I think the wall might be back 10 to 15 meters, and the wall goes up for, let's say, 5 to 7 meters. And they have a ledge over there, a natural ledge, where they have a lot of breeding going on. Currently, there's a lot of females sitting around, and I think they're still breeding on the young ones. And but I didn't have since they were all more or less sleepy. I don't have a good picture on them. And but you can, depending on the daylight you're going there, you can have a good time and have a lot of soil and soot from the birds that goes down, and then on top the females breeding. And let's see what else I have here. So that's maybe a second in between.
Yeah,
It's the
that's also nice. Wow,
same
this
bird
one.
and
Can you
this
go?
one.
Yeah,
And
so because I know how hard it is to capture animals, especially birds. Because
hmm
I recently tried to capture some gray gooses, but I failed. So I was not able to capture them in flight. And then
and
after a certain time, I gave up. So I'm really uh, I like what I see here because I know how hard it is to
well,
how
and
hard it is to.
they are big birds, luckily,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
it's a good way to practice and get a feel for your new equipment. And since we see this almost the same size as the head in the other image, here's the noise is not as much as predominant in the other one. You can
yeah.
see it on the eye, so the eye is a little bit clearer. And a lot of people went behind me and they said, "Oh, what ugly birds!" And actually, I think they're really
No, they are absolutely not ugly. They are special.
they are very, very special and in one sense totally beautiful because what you really can try is their feathers here on the main wings, on the wings. They are very, very colorful and very, very highly shimmering if they are lit by light. It's like you have a car with different colors painted. I don't think I have one here especially because of course then the bird would have turned away if you photograph it the wings from outside, and I didn't have one entirely from
Oh,
back. Well,
this one
when you
is
see it
great.
here and you saw already the interpretation from
Mm,
there's 1 second in between. Now it's gone, but I think you saw blinking, and at first
mm,
it tries to render something. It develops the raw images on the go, right? So
mm,
at
mm,
first it was a little bit lighter, and you can see it really here. So it's from black to almost some kind of purplish going, and here
mm.
it looks like punk rock and roll or
Yeah.
punk music
Mm.
with these feathers going like that. And this is one of my favorite shots in general.
It's really,
And
really nice shot.
you see here the noise is relatively low for as I said, for anyway high noise images. And so I think from those that I brought you, I think it's also the last one. No, it's not even the last one, but it's one of my favorites. And so this one is also, you can see it here from the back, and here see the different colors in the bird, and it's cleaning the feathers, and I think there's some action in it. So that's one of my, those
So I
two are
really
one
like
of my
the color
favorites.
shades you have from deep purple to some kind of, yeah, I think it's green. What it is to
Yeah,
black.
you can
It's,
see a lot of
yeah.
colors in there. So I mostly saw, for my
Mm,
interpretation, I saw black, grayish, purplish, a little bit green. Uh,
mm,
to me, they are really, really beautiful birds.
yeah. And they are a protected species, as far as I know, because they have been close before
Hmm.
extinction. And we
Yep.
have in the Vienna Zoo, there's also a very special area where
Hmm.
they are taking care of these birds. I
Yep.
haven't been there for quite a long time, but I just remember.
Yeah,
I also was always attracted to them, so they are really special.
I can highly suggest, if you want to practice new equipment, if you want to practice catching birds, go to a zoo with
Yeah.
open cages, with open volières. I'm not speaking French either, so I don't know what the plural of volière is in French. But it's a very good way to practice for focusing on eye. It's very good for panning because the area of the birds, of course, is limited. So if you want to practice this, go to a zoo where you have some open cages where you can and have bigger birds like these birds or some kind of vultures or eagles or what you have, and that gives you a good practice for then going out into the wild where the time span where you have to adjust is much shorter. So this really helps you a lot to get. So I will maybe visit them again quite soon because I read up what I want to change in my setting with the Canon. I am going much more for uh, way more light and only go back down on my ISO and get my tripod or monopod and then try to do the similar images again, and then I'll see what comes out of this one.
Yeah. That's a very, very super good idea, Martin, doing practicing in a zoo, because when you're out in the wild, you don't have the second chance. So if you are not
Yes.
familiar with your equipment and you need to play around, the animal is here and a second later it's gone. So you never, uh, most likely you will not have a second chance. Let's say,
Hmm.
not never.
And usually zoos, of course, they get some entrance fee from you, but usually they are not really expensive. So especially if
Could
you
be
are going,
affordable to
yeah,
go to
it's
a zoo.
affordable. And if you, especially if you have the luxury of a local zoo, they often have yearly sort of memberships or multiple entrances, and then it really brings it down. And you can spend for me, it's also good for my mental health. So if you go there and spend some 2 hours there just with the so only with the wild trap, I think it was 1.5 hours. And this really brings me down and it gets the mental stress from my head. And if you factor this into your calculation of what you spend on the entrance fee, well, then it's more or less zilch what you have to spend. So it's nothing because actually it's some very good and some very precious time that you can have off and spend some because usually people rush through only anyway, so they don't bother you, and most of the time you will spend alone. So from this 1.5 hours, I was bothered maybe not even 5 minutes. Usually people only pass through and miss out on the best stuff instead if they would stay there for some minutes. Ah, I
What
still have
a
some. I did not even
this
know
is
that.
all this. Can you please go back?
This one
This one, yeah.
or this one?
This one
I like
is a
both
great
of.
it's a great composition. It's a great shot.
I think they are doing some sort of cooling
Sunbathing,
there.
huh? Something that they're
I think, yeah, I don't know if they, because the sun was actually, you're right, it's coming from the left, it's coming from so early afternoon. So maybe they were really cranking up their vitamins. I don't know, but they did that from time to time. Maybe also, I don't know, there was a breeze going through, so maybe they are doing some cooling. It was not really specifically hot, so I don't know. So maybe either vitamin collecting or cooling. I don't know. And then they really stand upright, and I think this is also nice. So again, the photos I brought you usually have the focus on the eye, so that works. And now we see this is 100%. So this is also one that's not that noisy. And the last one, is it the last? Yeah, now that's actually really the
wow.
last
That's
one.
also
And
the colors are amazing.
yeah, you see it here better, so it's blackish to gray or whatever this color is called, and here's purple and red and greenish here, and so I really like this one a lot.
Great.
So that's what I brought you. Do you
No,
have?
thank you, Martin. So I will end up at the zoo in a very short term because we also
Yeah,
have
yeah.
we have a very small one close by, just with local animals.
Oh,
But
cool. Yes.
we have stork season at the moment, and they have young
Mm-hmm.
ones. So this might be an option. Thanks
Very
for
nice.
reminding me.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so
You're welcome.
yeah, so you really brought some nice pictures with you, and also thank you for the explanation regarding your gear.
Yep.
What is
That's
special?
what we are
That
here for. That's what we are here
yeah,
for. I hope our viewers get something out of that and that they take their equipment and they see, well, it's not fixed. It's nothing written in stone. I have to go out and I have to try things out and to get better and to get a better
and
shot.
also very important is don't get disappointed if the results are not what you look
Yes.
for. There's in the most let's say most likely there is an explanation why you
Yeah.
have the results you have, and just keep on photographing, keep on trying, and if you want some insights, feel free
Mm,
to send us some
we-
questions and
Yes.
requests. We are here to answer them.
Hmm. And rest assured, so I will definitely go there one more time with different settings, and we will have some revisit of those images or the next session of those images in some future video of ours. So hit the bell button and hit the subscribe that you don't miss out on that one.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I think that's for today. We've seen all the shots you brought with you.
Mm-hmm.
It was super, super interesting, Martin. Thank you again.
Mm-hmm. You're
And all
welcome.
the viewers out there, thanks for watching this episode of The Second Look. If you enjoyed uh, our work, especially Martin's work today, then please don't forget to check out the video then shown in the end screen. There are some links you can follow. They take you deeper into the world we're building here. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And again, thank you for your big support, because without you, we are nothing. So thank you much, and see you very soon next week with the next episode, guys. Bye bye.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.